Matt Norris is Senior Animal Technician at Nottingham Trent University, and he's going to be showing us some of Nott's most interesting residents. Warning, if you don't like things that hop or have triangular heads, look away now. Hi Matt, thanks for coming on the show as ever. This is, I have to say, this is the bit that we all look forward to. Go, yay, Matt's here, and what's he got this week?
Good stuff, yes. So this week I have got an animal with a triangular head. It is not, in fact, myself. My head is rather square, I think. So yeah, I figured we'd start off with this little dude here, if I can get him in the camera frame.
Oh, wow.
So you can see he's actually wanting to say hello to you all. So this is one of our praying mantids. This is a giant Asian mantis. So yeah, he's just looking around. In fact, earlier he was trying to fly in my face. So if you're lucky, he might do that again, because I know that's always nice for the viewers to see this bug flying in my face. But yeah, so this guy is an example of a predatory insect. So you can see him looking around now, and he's probably semi-checking himself out in the camera, but also he'll be on the lookout for any small insects that he can catch and eat. And you can see there that he's got his two front limbs outstretched as well. And those are what he uses to catch small insects. So whether that's crickets or grasshoppers or even flying insects. And they've got tremendously good vision as well. They're one of the few insect species out there with stereopsis, which is the ability to judge distance and form complex 3D images of the world around them. So it's a great advantage when they come to catching prey.
And parking, I imagine.
And parking, yeah, they're very tiny vehicles.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like Tommy Cooper. So how, I didn't realise they could fly, praying mantis. So is that just, where are they from? Where do they originate? What's their sort of day-to-day life back home?
Yeah. So praying mantids, the vast majority of them can fly when they're adults. And it's what they use to get around, but also to try and find mates more easily and to cover more ground. And mantids in general occupy the tropical, subtropical and warm temperate areas of the world. So by warm temperate, I mean like the Mediterranean, places that have seasons but are generally a lot more mild than the UK. So we don't have any native species over here, but certainly in the tropics and subtropics, you'll come across them.
Oh, wow. He's just having a little clean of himself there. Himself, herself, themselves?
He is, yes. So this one is a male, yeah. And actually, you can sex praying mantids normally by looking at the length of the body and how many segments they have in it. So this guy has more segments and therefore is a male, whereas the females typically have fewer segments of the body. And in this species as well, they're normally slightly more heavily built than this guy is. But you can see he's looking at the camera quite a lot tonight. I think I'm filming this on my phone, which is it's giving an image back at me because we're using Zoom.
Yeah.
And obviously that will be a moving image. And I do believe that he's actually able to look at that. He's able to see the movement. And that's what's got him slightly transfixed on the screen of the phone right now.
I love that.
But yeah, they're great.
He checks himself out on Zoom calls like everyone else. That's brilliant.
Yeah, that is probably exactly what he's doing.
I need to ask you about, so he's got the triangular head. Why is that for any reason? Is that just how his head is, or is there a purpose to that?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit of both. So it's the way his head is, but it's basically because his large compound eyes are either side of the head. So those are the structures that are making it look triangular, and they're very, very large. And what's quite interesting about mantids, and unfortunately you won't be able to see it on my phone camera, but as well as these two large eyes that they've got either side of the head that make it triangular, they also have three tiny eyes right in the middle of the head. And those aren't used so much for forming complex images as they are for seeing light and shadow and giving an indication of anything flying overhead.
I see.
But no, they're very successful.
Brilliant. Right, we can stay on praying mantis, but I'm aware we're going to miss out on your other guest. Oh no, he's flown off. Is he all right?
Yeah, there we go. You saw him fly off. He knows it's his leave of absence.
Who's our next guest? Because this is, it looks like a toy, but it's very much a real frog of sorts. Yeah, I'll let you collect him. Oh, wow.
It is indeed, yes.
Like
so I can assure you this is real. It is not a prop. or a rubber toy, though it does look very much like it. So this guy here is a white tree frog, and they're a tree frog that's native to Australia, and they can't fly, but they can jump quite far. So we'll see if he wants to take a leap of faith today.
Oh wow! Why is he so? Is he slimy? What does he feel like?
Yeah, so that's a good point you've picked up on there. So they are ever so slightly slimy, but the reason that he's looking shiny today is that he's covered in water. And you might just be able to see it on my hands as well, that when I've picked him up here, I've made sure to dampen my hands. And that's because frogs are amphibians, and they've actually got very, very delicate skin. And it's semi-permeable to water. So it means that water can go both in through the skin and out of it. And for that reason, it's really quite delicate. And for most species of amphibians, they need to keep their skin relatively moist for most of the time. And if it dries out, it can be quite damaging. And they also use their skin to partially absorb oxygen. So again, if it dries out, it inhibits their ability to breathe as well.
Oh right! Oh dear. What's his vision like? Because he's got very distinct eyes as well.
He has got very distinct eyes. Yeah, so their vision is relatively good. If you ask me to compare it to the praying mantis, I probably couldn't tell you which is better because they differ in certain elements. But their eyesight is generally pretty good, and they're able to see some elements of colour as well. So they do rely on their eyes quite heavily. One thing as well that frogs are infamous for is croaking and making noise, and they're one of the few amphibians that actually rely quite heavily on being able to hear the calls of mates in order to attract one another and locate each other when it's time for mating season. And one of the abilities of frogs is to call very, very loudly in relation to their size, and they're able to do that because when it's time to mate, normally the males of most species will basically blow air into vocal sacs, which are underneath the chin. And these inflate and act as resonating chambers. So it means that for such a small animal, they're able to call over a very, very large distance to try and find a partner.
Wow. Hashtag desperate. Brilliant. Well, thank you as always for coming on. I just love seeing your animals. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
From Nottingham Trent University, that's Mattenborough. That's